Jan Wild is the founder and president of Success Through Enhanced Performance, STEP. We're proud to present the High Performance Leadership Control versus Empowerment, where you as a leader will learn the necessary tools and skills to change your behavior from a more traditional controlling and directing role to coaching, facilitating, and empowering. Jan Wild is a business trainer, motivator, certified behavioral consultant, and 360 Solutions High Performance Management certified. He has spent the last 30 years managing, recruiting, and training thousands of sales professionals to achieve higher levels of success. As the principal of Success Through Enhanced Performance, STEP, he strives to assist individuals and organizations to reach their performance goals and objectives through strategic consulting, business planning, training programs, sales strategies, and contact center development and optimization. Without any further ado, Jan Wild. Thank you for coming.
You're applauding before you hear me. That's a great thing. Listen, do me a favor. Just to stand up for me, humor me a little bit. Stand up a little bit. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to just reach as far. You need to put that down. Reach as far as you can to the sky, as far as you can. All right, as far as you can. Reach as far as you can. Now, just a little bit further. Reach a little bit further. All right, now, originally I said reach as far as you can, but everybody had a little bit more to reach, didn't we? That's the challenge we have in our lives. You guys can sit down. Thank you. I appreciate it very much so. The challenge we have, and I know you guys are going through some challenges. In our leadership course, we're going to twist and turn it a little bit to make it more appropriate for how you relate to leadership. As you're looking at jobs, as you get those new jobs, or at least you're starting with them again, how to re-lead, how to motivate, how to move people, that's what's really going to get you the positions. Getting involved and going looking online with a resume is not going to get you the job. How you separate yourself from who you're competing against, who's looking for the same position, is going to get you the position. What we're going to do today is we're going to go into a different aspect. We're going to talk about organizations, and the new type of organization is built on empowerment. The old one, which we all probably remember, is the controlling one. You know, my way or the highway. You do it my way, you walk out the door, and usually it's a matter of micromanagement. Anybody been in micromanagement in your life? No. Only two, huh? The rest of you are so lucky. I'm a victim of micromanagement. Micromanagement is a pain, literally. You go home and you don't sleep well. You worry about everything you do. You basically do your job just to complete the job and nothing more. Anybody find yourself in that position? Where you're just doing it to get it done? Well, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to bring a new mentality. The mentality is called empowerment. And as an empowerer, as a leader, people you want to work for or the positions you want to take are based on driving people to higher levels of success. And that's what we're going to try to do. Who can identify what a leader is? Anybody? Give me an idea? What do you think a leader is?
It's the person that took decisions and give the activities to this team, to her team.
Okay. Okay, that's one way. Let me give you one of my DVDs. This one is on goal setting and time management. You know, that's one of the better ones. Goals are essential. Anybody have goals here? You have them written down with measurements, timelines? They have strategies for those goals. Written down, strategies. They have tactics to achieve those strategies. Give your hands up if you still have the tactics. Anybody? Well, if you don't have tactics, I can't ask you if you have resources or costs to accomplish those. What you have are dreams. And dreams are basically beautiful things when we sleep. I love good dreams, but they will not get you what you want. A goal is essential, not only to get you what you need, but to maintain that existence. So it's important that you write down your goal and build a strategy. Businesses are only successful with a business plan, so why wouldn't individuals be successful without their own personal plan? And a personal plan is basically your strategy. And how you attain that strategy is your tactics. Now, sometimes I say to my wife, honey, we're retiring in 3 years. I'm going to take 3 more jobs. You're not going to see me for 2 years. Now, my wife loves that idea. Most wives would say, no, honey, don't do that. And mine says, you know, take a 4th job. But in my case is I'm going out there and I'm basically saying I'm going to the cost of retirement is you're not going to see me for 3 years because I'm going to work hard just to put enough money away so we can retire. That's a cost. It's not always dollars and cents. Sometimes it's personal. We all have personal costs. Anybody send kids to college? What was the personal cost? Still going through it, right? I understand that. You know, we go through personal costs in everything we do. Every consideration we have, there's a cost. And that cost is not only monetary, but in a lot of cases, it is monetary. So we're talking about, I want to take a trip to Europe. That's my goal, take a trip to Europe. My strategy is, I need to get there during the summertime. I'm good. I'm ready to go to Europe, right? One thing I haven't done yet. I have no tactic. I haven't booked a ticket. So I'm standing here and saying, I'm going to Europe, but I'm still in Florida. And the challenge is, without a tactic, and then what's the cost going to be? Now, the cost might be a cost financially, but I also take off from work or leave the family behind or put the animals, the dogs, in some kind of clinic. These are costs, resources, and measurements, and they change rapidly. So you must have goals. So my recommendation is when you guys go home or tomorrow morning, put down your goal, strategy, tactic, resource, costs, and watch it every day. Put it in a book, like a composition notebook, not one with spirals that you can tear it out when you make a mistake. Because we all look so perfect when the mistakes are gone, don't we? It's a beautiful thing when we look at it and we say, now I don't like this anymore. Start from fresh. Well, we don't want you to do that. We want you to see the transgression of where you began to where you're going. It's very important that you see where you're going and you change your direction. Goals continue, but the way you get there changes. All right? So we're gonna take a different look today. Anybody else identify what a leadership is, what a leader is?
Leader has a vision and then communicates them to his team.
Excellent, excellent. The old leadership role, again, of the controller was, I have a vision and I'm not going to communicate with you, I'm going to demand you attain it. The new way is a threefold approach. First, we develop high-performance leaders. Those high-performance leaders develop high-performance teams, essential. And a high-performance team builds a high-performance organization. So if you can convince or convey the message that you are one of those players that is going to bring the organization to high performance, you are an employable candidate. You are a more employable candidate that somebody comes in and says, this is the last job I had. Because people aren't looking for what you did, they're looking for what you can do. Does it make sense? All right, so that's what we're trying to do. Good going, you get my Power Phone Selling DVD. I have what we call the Sales Mastery Series. The Sales Mastery Series is made up of 7 DVDs. I trained them at Nova University. And we recorded them all. And what they are is they start with relationship selling. We teach you how to sell, but more than that, build relationships. Because not always the individuals you're dealing with going to be able to use what you have. But they can represent you as they see somebody else who might need it. Same thing when you're looking for work. I might not need you for my job, but I might see you enough to say, I'm going to recommend you to somebody else. That's building relationships. The old way we used to do things is with pushing. Remember, we peddled. As old salespeople, we peddled ourselves. We pushed products. Now we don't do that anymore. Now we build relationships. We partner. It's a little different. Second one I had was the goal setting and time management, both essential. You analyze your goals, and with all that extra time, without all that extra time, you're able to either be more productive or spend more time with your family, which is a beautiful thing. We roll into communication and negotiation and then into power phone selling, which is really unique also. Teaching people how to use a phone to do something besides texting. Isn't that amazing? I bring out a rotary phone and I ask people, how do you text on this thing? And you look at the kids in the audience saying, well, I can figure it out. It's amazing. We don't know how to communicate any longer. The communication course talks about how to communicate. Everything is communication. How you deliver your message is the most imperative thing in how we have relationships, how we get work, how we keep jobs, and how we're successful at that job. It's all about communication. And we teach them how to communicate. We teach them how to ask the right questions, how to generate engagement from people through those questions, and then to really build a relationship, because that's what we're trying to achieve. The fifth course, we do a public speaking course. The sixth one is a supervisory course, and you guys are going to have the seventh course right here, which is the leadership course. This is my most fun, because this is really what really turns an organization into a profit machine, turns people into generators of opportunity. It really does. So let's identify what really a leader is. Jack Welch calls a leader, before you're a leader, success is about growing yourself. When you become a leader, success is about growing others, similar to what you were saying. Peter Drucker, leadership is lifting a person's vision to high heights. raising of a person's performance to a higher standard, the building of a personality beyond its normal limitations. Greatest thing in the world, as I do, as either a motivator or a trainer, is to watch people who utilize what you've taught them and they become higher levels of success. Better than any monetary gain I can ever have. This young lady, Cookie, called me up 10 years after she worked for me. She says, Jan, this is Cookie. I said, Cookie, fantastic. What are you up to? She says, I want to call you and thank you. I said, no, what are you doing? She says, that's why I want to thank you. I just got a position as a manager, and I would never have gotten that if it wasn't for you. 10 years later, she's still thinking of me and still calling me up for something I did. All right? That's the legacy. That's what we all want. Okay? That's the drive. That's what you're trying to do for other people. Cookie appreciated it. And there are those who call up and say, you still owe me $50. That's a different one. Theodore Roosevelt, the best executive is the one who has a sense enough to pick good men and do what he wants done, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them. You hire a good team and you let them do what they're capable of doing. You don't direct them. Because if you can't trust is essential in everything we're doing today. Trust is essential in our lives, our relationships, and work. If we can't trust the people we're with, get other people. So again, you're walking into a situation where people are employed, but are they? They have jobs, but are they long-term jobs? Have they established trust? And have they established relationships to secure those positions? I think not. They don't. People are looking for other opportunities. And we were talking about how we look for jobs. And a lot of us send our resumes out by email, which goes into space. Nobody ever gets it. Or we put it in Career Builder with the other 1.5 million people. Or Monster, and with the other 1.5 million people who aren't on Career Builder and are on Career Builder. And we're saying, nobody's calling me. Why not? You know? The way it works today is, and they put it into systems where they record the words that are on your resume. Similar to doing websites, meta tags. And those words, if you don't fit the quantity of words that they're looking for, they don't call you. So how do you know what words they're looking for? You don't know that. Sometimes they are printed on the bottom of the ad. If you go look far enough, you'll see those meta tags, those words. But in reality, we don't know what people are looking for. So I've got a little tip of how I used to go and suggest people look for jobs. A broadcast mailer. Anybody familiar with a broadcast mailer? You identify, you've done it before?
Yeah, I've done broadcast mail.
You get any luck from it?
Very little.
It's targeted though. There are two ways we do it. We identify the highest level person either in the area, the department that we want to go into, or the president of the company. We don't send the resume. We ask for an invitation to sit down and discuss how we can assist them in growing their company. Put a little bit, couple blurbs in of what you've done, and that's it. And you send it in an oversized envelope, or if you target 10 really good opportunities, Federal Express. It's a $100 investment or stamps. And what that does for you is it gets to the decision maker. Now, most jobs are not online. Most jobs are jobs that are waiting to go online, but they haven't put it yet because John hasn't left the company yet. George, we're opening up, we're expanding. We haven't done that yet. We've spoken about it. We've spoken about it to the board of directors. Maybe we spoke about it to the owner of the company. We haven't done it yet. So you're sending this introduction out. They're reading it and they're saying, I don't want to put an ad out. I don't want to go through resumes. I don't want to go through the interview process. Bring this person in. But you see, the key is it has to be targeted. It must target the right person, and that person has to be the highest level person you're dealing with. You can't send it to the HR department. If you send it to the HR department, it's lost. Send it to the vice president of the department you want to be in, or the president of the company, or the owner. And then they'll see it, and they'll say, let me call this person in because it's going to save me the aggravation and the hassle of going out and putting an ad in it and interviewing, and it's costly. You know how much it costs to hire the wrong person? Even if you're paying them $12 an hour, it's $12 an hour. You know how much it costs? $70,000. Could you imagine? You know why it costs $70,000? It's not only because they have a recruiter. It's not only because they train you when they come on board. It's the cost of hiring the wrong person that causes the company a bad image or causes the company failure to produce when a good person would have produced. So what's the cost of not hiring the right person versus the cost of hiring the right person? $70,000. So it's essential that they hire right the first time. And if you put yourself in front of them in a different way than everybody else is trying to do that, you have a much better chance of reducing the odds, or increasing the odds if you're getting the job, and reducing the odds of dealing with all the ramifications of looking for work. So try it. It's a small investment. I used to do 200 a week. I sent out 200 a week when I was looking for work years ago. And everybody I deal with, I'd say 40 a day. That's all you need, 40 a day. Today with electronic, and don't have the envelope printed, handwritten, everything handwritten. Okay, we want the personal touch where people say, let me open this up. This might be something I have to read, otherwise it's an advertisement. All right, so try that as an idea. Let's go back to this. General Montgomery, definition of leadership, the capacity and the will to rally men and women to a common purpose, and the character which inspires confidence. Again, what you were saying. You drive people to higher levels of confidence, and you do that basically by motivating them, believing in them, giving them a path, but letting them ride it themselves. General Colin Powell, great leaders are always great simplifiers who can cut through argument, debate, and doubt to offer a solution everybody can understand. So now think about bringing yourself in front of an interview. When you're delivering the message, this is who you are. This is what you are. This is what you're going to bring to the table. I'm not filling a position. I'm adding to the growth and the success of your organization. That's my job. And that's what the leadership role is. I'm a leader. They want leaders. They don't want followers, and if you come in as a follower, you get a less of an income and less of a potential, because they want people who they can expand the company. I want to put the company in your hands. I want you to drive my organization. That's what I'm looking for. That's what a real owner wants. He wants the people to take them to another world, to make it to a higher level. And if you're surrounded by people who just do what you tell them, you go nowhere. You flatline. But if you get people who are engaged and people who basically create opportunity, then you have the company going at tremendous pace. And that's what businesses that are trying to be successful are looking for. Today especially, because they're doing more with less. They're not hiring as many people. So if they're not hiring as many people, don't you believe you have to be better than you were before, or better than the other people when you go in? Go in with power. Go in with leadership qualities. High performance leadership, what we're going to talk about today. Providing leaders with tools and skills to change their behavior. Behavior is the issue. Our behavior has been tarnished. We've been tarnished by pain, disappointment, and all kinds of other concerns. But remember, there are two types of behaviors. There's values and there's beliefs. Our values are what we were born with, what our parents taught us. Our beliefs we get from religious institutions, we get from other areas. Now, our values usually remain intact. They don't usually change. The ability to deal with people. Cleanliness, being able, those values don't change. Hard work, those are values. But beliefs change all the time. The changing of beliefs changes your behavior. Skills to change their behavior from traditional practices of controlling, the old way, and directing and coaching, facilitating, and empowering. There's leadership. The most important factors for staying long-term business success. Again, you bring these ideals to your interviews, you bring these ideals to the job you're doing right now. This is what the owners and the people who want to hire people, or the people who are running organizations, need in their organizations. And those who see it are successful. And those who don't see it, you don't want to work for. That's the way I feel about it. Leaders have the power to make things happen and influence the organization. Leaders are responsible for all other factors, understanding customers, markets, developing a strategy. Leaders provide the vision, inspiration, direction to attract and motivate others to be successful. And leaders create the infrastructure, processes, systems, and structures which the organization can succeed. We're going to talk about 7 different aspects of situations that occurred in organizations. And one of those is the fact that during 2007, 2012, we had the biggest recession since the Great Depression. And organizations changed. Some went out of business, some were on their heels. And the organizations had to change their infrastructure. And those who didn't change failed. And those who changed survived. And that's the leader. If the leader sits back and says, anybody remember that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Right? Remember that book? Basically, it's about a situation where you stay in the same place, you end up starving. Well, a lot of owners in 2007, 2008, 2009 starved. They didn't change. They didn't build a new model. A good leader sits back and redesigns the aspects of running an organization. The structure of the organization, the core of the organization, the way the organization mission, vision, and values change. That all changes during all the leaders reorganizing the way they're doing things. And those who don't are affected. There are 5 big core reasons that an organization runs smoothly, and 2 that they can't control. One is the environment, and that leads to different results. And those 5 have to be adjusted as the evolution of the economy changes. Most companies you see who are in trouble have never done that. They've never done it because they don't know how to do it. They need people to help them do it. They need people to help them now that business is picking up again a little bit. They need people to take them back to where their goals were, which is massive success. So that's what they're counting on you guys to do. But what's the myth on leadership? Lead is a rare skill. Anybody believe that? It's a rare skill? Anybody believe that only leaders are managers, only leaders are people who own the company? Is that what leaders are all about? Leaders are born, not made. Effective leaders are charismatic. Well, let's talk about a couple leaders who aren't. Gandhi, not too charismatic, but a great leader. Mother Teresa, great leader, not very charismatic. Doesn't matter if you're charismatic. They had people following them. Their vision was very clear, and people followed their vision. And they motivated people enough to want to follow that vision, want to change, want to be better. And that was essential. Leaders exist only at the top. Yeah, only my boss is a leader. I don't have to be a leader. And leaders control, direct, and produce. Leaders sit around and think about new processes. That's the myth. It's not true at all. Truth about leadership, we're going to talk about it now, but let's talk about a controller. Why does somebody control? Without reading it, because I can't see it from here anyway, but if you guys got better vision than I do, why do you think people control? Anybody?
Easier.
Sorry?
It's easier.
It's easier?
They are afraid that you won't do it the way that they want you.
Absolutely. What's the main reason people will control others?
Makes them feel important.
It sure does. What's the main reason?
In-
You don't
Insecurity.
trust people.
Trust. They don't trust. So why am I going to give you a project when I think you're going to fail it? Even you might be the most successful person in the world, but I don't trust you can handle a project. And you ever have a guy who basically doesn't delegate, wants to do all the job themselves? My kids were like that with the games, you know what I mean? I played one of the video games once in my life. Probably the only one who was in this room who's only played it once. I was never allowed to play more than once. I picked it up and I would do lousy. My kid would say, let me take that away and I'll do it. Give me a chance to learn. One thing about mistakes. If you don't make mistakes, you make nothing. Think about that. If you don't make mistakes, you make nothing. Now, why is that? Because the only way you grow is to make mistakes. To follow a pattern that's been laid out before is mediocrity and plateau. You just do it. That's what controllers do. Follow my path. I'll pay you a salary. You'll never grow. You'll make your money. You'll go on for the rest of your life. Yes?
Colin Powell says, success is made up of hard work, preparation, and learning from failure.
If you don't know what failure is about, how do you know when you see success? All right? They say that, how do you know when there's pain if you haven't had pleasure? These are very important. In running a business, you must understand that trust is apparent. You must give trust to all your people. If you don't trust them, get rid of them. The problem is, you're not going to trust anybody if you have that condition. So your behavior change as a leader must change. You must now trust people. And that's really a big change. People need to delegate responsibilities to other people, and then they bite their lip hoping that the roofs don't cave in. And the truth they find out is they can't do much damage. Nobody's writing checks for you. Nobody's burning down the business for you. They're dealing with small information pieces that they're growing from. And as they grow, what happens? The business grows, right? So we encourage that growth. But a controller, they impasse control and external control on their followers. For example, a controller micromanages. We spoke about that before. Sits over you, micromanages the situation. Make sure you do everything. Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? I'm taking care of it. I'm getting it done. I know what my job responsibilities are. Give me some space. You can't work on the micromanagement. What are the effects and tactics? The job may be completed, but possibly at a higher cost of employees. So you take the job as a controller, and what happens? You do your job, and you go home. You do your job, and you go home. Do you do anything more than your job? No. You just basically do just enough. That's not good for a high-performance organization. For example, a controller would not nurture his team or work and may stifle opinions and other ideas. So you come out and you say, I got a great idea how to do this. And you say, no, do it my way. I've been under that kind of duress a few times in my life. I didn't stay there too long. I could not be under that environment. If you cannot be creative, you shouldn't be in that organization. I cannot just sit back and move forward at the pace somebody wants to set me at. Give me an opportunity to be creative, and I will help organizations grow. That's why I do what I did. But it's up to you guys to show that kind of effort, that kind of ability that you're willing to give to somebody else. I'm not here for a job. I'm here to help your company grow. I'm not here to work for you. I'm helping to make you money. That's my job. That's my function. High profits, high efficiencies, high productivity. That's the reason I'm here for you. You don't have to hire me. I don't come cheap. I don't come cheap. That's what you tell them. I don't come cheap. The reason I don't come cheap is because I offer more than the average person is going to offer. So the choice is made by the individual. If they're a controller, they don't hire you. You're a threat. But you don't want to work there anyway. But if they're an empowerer, they envision what you're going to do, and they say, I want you. I want some, and you guys should have some of that too. You know, that's very important to understand. You need to understand that. Control versus power. Controllers, people cannot be trusted. If you want something done, I'll do it myself. So I'm not going to teach you how to do it. I'll take care of it. Why? Because I do it better than you. But that's probably true. You're probably going to get the owner to do it better than the person he delegates to. The problem is the owner has a capacity level. He can only do so much. So what happens to his organization when he reaches that capacity? He flatlines. There's no growth. Right? So now I want to have you, you, and you, and you, and you, and you do all these jobs for me. So you're at 80% of how I can do it. But I think I've evolved and the company's more productive now by having you guys do those pieces for me. And what happens when you become 80%? Then you go 85%, 90%, and immediately you're at a point where you're doing it as good as I do. Repetition. You're just doing it very solid. And that's what we're really trying to understand. How you deliver your message is what you mean to the organization is they want efficiency, productivity, and profitability. And that's the message you have to deliver. So now a controller versus power. Here's empower. Empower is create an environment where their people are motivated and committed. Now, I don't know, anybody rather be in this environment than the controller's environment? I think so, right? I think so. Unfortunately, sometimes we don't get that environment. Usually small businesses, the owner is so worried about watching his money that his eyes are on the checkbook at the same time it's on the business. There's a book called The E-Myth, and we were talking about it before. Anybody familiar with the book, The E-Myth? The E-Myth book is about organizations or people who do great jobs. Maybe they're a great carpenter, electrician, they've done a function fantastic and decide they're going to start their own business. So they start their own business and they're failing, and they're wondering why they're failing. Well, they're failing because they're now collection agents, they're recruiters, salesmen, marketing people. They're doing everything but what they did before, which was what brought them to be in that business to begin with. So they're failing because they can't do what they want to. They don't know how to run a business. And that's been a big challenge of small business owners for many years, that they're taking their skill sets and saying, I don't want to work for them anymore, I'm going to do it for myself. And they don't do it. You think it's because they're undercapitalized, and of course that's very important. But it's not undercapitalized, it's that they're under-knowledgeable. They don't understand how to run their business, and let them do what they do best. Invest in somebody to sit inside and go out and still do your thing you're supposed to do. So, an example of empower would encourage brainstorming and feedback. Let's talk about how we can do better, because you have better ideas than I do. Why? Because you're in the front lines. I haven't seen a front line in years. I don't know what's going on up front. You do, and you do. So tell me how we can do better. Let's brainstorm. Bring your ideas up. Challenge as an employee to an owner is, owners also have obligations to finances. So your idea might be the greatest idea since sliced white bread. Okay? Greatest idea, but I can't implement it because I don't have a budget for it. And a lot of employees say, what are you doing? You're not listening to what I'm saying? It's not true. It's that they can't afford to do it at certain times because the budget doesn't allow them to. So you have to understand there are other particulars involved. Does this make sense? What are the effects of their tactics? Goals are achieved by empowered and engaged employees. Engagement, that's a wonderful word. Do you know that only 1 out of 4 employees are engaged today?
What do you mean by engaged, though?
They don't believe what they are selling.
They don't believe what they're selling? Or they're engaged means that they're not excited about what they have because they've been shut down emotionally by a controlling owner. They've been told that basically we're doing it this way, so they're saying, fine, I'll go to work, I'll do my job, I'll go home, I'll get my check. So it's not that they don't believe in it, they don't care about it. It's even worse than that. They don't care about it because they've been controlled. So it's important. They're not engaged. These are Gallup statistics. And what that 13% is unbelievable. And you're talking about managers, 84% of managers don't know how to measure the fact that their people aren't engaged, which is even more ridiculous. Because how do you know how to fix it if you don't know if it's there? You know? So these are statistics that you understand what's going on out there, and you can put a dent in these businesses to make them much better, much more productive, much more engaged by coming in with that attitude that they don't see. That's that empowering attitude, that attitude that you're there to really blow the doors off. A team working for an empower takes personal ownership and pride in their work. So we're going to talk about teams a little bit, and as a team, we're going to build teams because teams, powerful teams lead to powerful organizations. And teams work together. The good part about a team is if a team fails, they fail together. If a team succeeds, they succeed together. And together, they're really creating all that kind of power and aggressive growth. That's what it's important. So you're standing alone, you don't get as much as you're working with a group. Powerful teams lead to powerful organizations. And here, you get a powerful team meeting together and using the ideas of the people in it, saying, I think we should do this, I think we should do this, I think we should do this. Let's present that to the next group higher up. And they present it, it's accepted, and you guys are the reason the company's succeeding. And that's so important. And you got to look at it that way. We don't work for people. You know, when I used to tell people about hiring, you don't look for a job. You don't look for an employer. You go hire yourself an employer. You're actually hiring yourself. You're doing an evaluation. Is this a place you want to work for? And I know we get bogged down with, I'm not working for a period of time and money is an issue, and I understand that. But realistically speaking, if you go take a position just for the money itself, you don't stay there long. Because once the money levels out and you get a little more comfortable, you start to analyze, am I in the right place? Do I feel I'm in the right place? Am I excited about where I am? And then it starts all over again. So if you have the opportunity, look for something that excites you. Hire an employer. Don't let them hire you. Hire an employer. Do research about the company. Is that the right place you want to work at? I don't know about you guys, but I only got one window left in my life as far as work is concerned. So I want to make sure it's the right choice. I don't want to do this the rest of my life. I don't think anybody does, right? Anybody really enjoy working the rest of their life? No. The money that's killing us, right? I know. Empower. What are the beliefs behind behavior of Empower? Everybody can be trusted. I believe in you. Because I believe in you, I trust you. People can succeed and do well at their jobs. I succeed, my team and organization succeeds. It's not just about me. So here's the 6 principles of empowering leadership. Leaders must have a driving passion to realize their vision, exactly what you said. They have a vision and a driving passion. They're going to get there no matter what. They're determined. Leaders build and sustain trust. Leaders are egoless. There are some, and I call them, anybody ever heard of the NIH syndrome? Not invented here, right? You do the work, they sign off on it. They were great, right? They're great heroes. They were great leaders and managers. They took all the credit for all the hard work and great ideas you've had. Not invented here. You know, you make an eye, they dot it. You lay a line for a T, they put a cross. That's the way people are. Not invented here. They're out there. But in most cases, those who really are good leaders are leading from the balcony. They're saying, I want you to do it. I believe in you. I trust you. Take care of it. Feed back to me. And then there's a process of leadership, 5 roles of leadership, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Leaders inspire the commitment and motivation of their followers. People want to work for them. They buy into it. There's sincerity involved in that. Leaders are organizational and social architects. That's what we were talking about during 2007 to 2012. They had to be social architects. Things changed. Look at the technology that's being used today. So I had this guy come to my training class, and we were talking about phone sales. And I said, there's a method to phone sales, and it's really a matter of numbers. The more you call, the better chance you have of reaching people. With all these technologies, with voicemail, and with caller ID, and all these things, they're stopping you from reaching the person you want to talk to. And then you reach to somebody you call a gatekeeper. And a gatekeeper's job is specifically to stop you from talking to a decision maker. So by the time you get through, you're like too beat to even have a conversation with somebody. So I'm saying, so how do you get through? He says, I don't do that anymore. I said, what do you do? He says, I do LinkedIn only. You do LinkedIn only. I go on LinkedIn and I analyze who I'm talking to and I send in a message to that person. And I said, well, that's well and good, and I really like that idea, but we're dealing with law of large numbers, which we've all been told in sales that sales are based on law of large numbers. He's dealing with law of one number. That is, if I reach somebody and they do want to connect with me, I have an opportunity to talk to somebody. I don't know if they got the business with me, but I have an opportunity to talk to that one person. All right? I believe I want more opportunities now because I know that not everyone is going to succeed. So I don't want to just go after one and spend all day doing this recruitment of somebody from LinkedIn. Although it's a great method to use as well, it's not the only method to use. It's one to add to the rest of the methods. No method stands by itself. They're all good. You need to use them all. Leaders drive situations. They do not allow the situations to drive them. So, empowering leaders have a driving passion to realize their vision. They're always 100% present and focused. They stay in right on path. And even when things shake them up a little bit, they're still on path, just like our goals. They might shift, but they're still focused on the end zone. They do not allow events and circumstances to determine what will happen to them. They're concerned with outcomes, and they use their vision to rise above adversity, setbacks, and even failure. Failure. Failure only drives them further towards success. You got to fail before you become successful. Empowering leaders are egoless. Empowering leaders build and maintain relationships of trust. Leadership's about relationships, building relationships. Empowering leaders are aware of the impact on others. They seek to communicate and behave in the ways that build trust, self-esteem, and confidence. Now there are those leaders that are narcissistic. You think they're on your side, but they're on your side specifically for their own benefits. As long as you're doing what's good for them, they love you. It's all about them. But they're in the right direction. It's better than a controlling person who says, no, it's all about me. Empowering leaders unleash motivation, commitment to their followers. Leaders define the boundaries and then encourage people to be self-governing. So there's two CEOs are out in the woods. Two leaders are out in the woods. And they've gone camping because they're talking about a merger. And one looks at the other and looks over his shoulder and sees a bear. And he quickly goes into his bag and he pulls out a pair of sneakers. And he puts his sneakers on, and the other CEO says to him, "What are you doing? You can't outrun the bear." And he turns to him and says, "I don't have to outrun the bear, I just got to outrun you." That's a true leader. He's probably the only leader left after that conversation. Motivating. The most essential thing about leadership is the ability to motivate individuals. And how do you motivate people? Is everybody motivated by money? No. Maslow, hierarchy of needs. Anybody heard of this before? This is how you identify how to motivate individuals. We all have levels that we have triggers. And the triggers are, we want to survival. What does survival mean? We want a roof over our head, we want food on the table, right? That's basic survival. The next step we want is security. We want to feel secure, so we have a job. We feel secure about the job. We get a job and we have survival. Now we want a sense of belonging, so we want to be part of a team. So you're part of a team of 5 people, and 4 of them have a meeting and they don't call you. How do you feel? Right? That's an issue. That's how demotivation works. Self-esteem. You want to be treated nice. You want accolades. You want to be appreciated for what you do. Don't we all want to be appreciated? I mean, money is important, but without appreciation, you really don't appreciate. You don't really appreciate the money. And then self-actualization, which is a level most people don't reach. That's a level that you've got it all together. You have all the 4 other triggers in line, and you're self-actualized. That's where you shoot for. But if you're managing other people, or you're motivating other people, or you're driving other people, you need to determine what really triggers them. And that's how you motivate. So true leaders are really paying attention to what's important to you, and what's important to you, and what's important to you, because it's all different. So what we do is we sit down there, we motivate you, and we drive you. Principle 5, organizational social architect. Here's the 7 lessons that I was talking about. Environment and results stay fixed, but in between, strategy, core process, structure, systems, and culture change. You are bringing your skill sets the way the culture has changed. It shouldn't be brought the way it was before. The way we did things before is long gone. Finished. We need to understand where we need to be today, and we need to deliver the updated version of what the company needs us for. And that's very important. So when you're checking out your resumes, make sure that your resumes show what you can do for them today, not what you did for the companies before. You need to have the proof of how your accomplishments were, but understand it can only be how you can help them. And then empowering leaders act from belief about people. So this is the most important part of leadership training. Leadership is based on 5 roles. The controlling leadership, or the past leadership, was based on 2 of these. The manager and the technician. In the 1990s, when we had the dot-coms, they hired managers. High-level managers were always technology freaks. They were always guys who knew about technology. And what happened to the dot-com? It exploded. People didn't know how to manage their processes. People basically were hired because they were technicians. Who's better to hire as a chief CEO for a technology company than somebody who's a technology geek, right? Wrong. That was a problem. And they realized that most of these organizations had problems. But now, look at the other 3. Architect, trailblazer, and coach. So let's talk about technician. Has a high degree in technical proficiency, is sought out for their expertise, diagnoses problems, uses analytical skills, possesses superior troubleshooting and problem-solving abilities. Anybody in technology? I know you're working at that right now. You're looking for a position in technology? You're looking for a position?
Yes.
What kind of position?
Sales.
Salesperson?
Yes.
What kind of technology do you do?
I work application performance management and ERP solutions, CRM.
Mostly software or
Yeah,
hardware?
mostly software.
Any
Almost all
integration?
software.
Integration?
Yes, and integration.
I want to get you information afterwards. I might have
Okay.
some. Enjoys putting out fires and makes decisions quickly. A manager, that's all we always had, the supervisor. The manager plans and schedules projects, directs resources to specific assignments, decides daily goals and priority, tracks progress, keeps track of the metrics, and makes sure you're doing your job, completes report and paperwork, runs reports and meetings, and maintains discipline and order. That's normally the supervisor who we have in front of us at all times. They're basically running the game. They're white and black stripes on the sideline. They got a whistle, and they're running the game like you have somebody on the sidelines of a football game. But here's the architect. Today's technology is expanding companies. Your manager is an architect. They standardize and document processes and procedures. They align systems to strategies and visions, challenge processes that are not consistent. So in other words, we're not doing it the same way if it doesn't work. We're changing the processes. Reinforces positive cultural norms and meets with others to learn new procedures for the operations. They're redesigning the architecture of the operation to make sure the operation is state-of-the-art and always on top, not just following what has been laid out for us. The trailblazer, which is really a true leader, analyzes organizational environment for trends and changes, clearly articulates a vision for the future, translates visions into objectives, imparts and enforces simple boundaries, makes connections with people outside the organization, encourages risk-taking and innovation. This is totally different than what we've been told as we would go and work for other people. They're saying, I want new ideas. Bring it. Bring it. Be a trailblazer. Now, the most important, I believe, of all 5 roles of a leadership is the coach. Because if you get somebody going out there and you give them information to go out there and do a job, and they're making mistakes, you must be the coach to show them why they made a mistake and help them grow. You just don't throw them out there, so you must coach them. A coach sets standards for behavior and performance, empowers people to make decisions to solve problems, provides information and training, evaluates and helps individuals grow their abilities, acts as a mentor, and conducts performance evaluations. So basically, this person is helping you become successful. You guys ever have that in a job shed before? A coach, did you? That's so important. You have one now? You have one now? That's so important because that's what makes you successful. Somebody who takes time and cares about your success enough to help you move in the right directions. Their experience, and that's what you're looking for, their experience is what's led you to success. And that's what they do. And that's why organizations grow, because if you coach lots of people to become very successful, the organization will grow. Better teams and high-performing organization. This make sense to everybody? Is this too long, too much, too deep? What do you think?
Yeah, it's good.
You all right with this?
It's very good so far.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're heading in the right direction. 5 leadership roles, all 5 roles are essential. So you need to be all 5. Used to be 2, and that didn't work. But now you need to be all 5. So you still need to be the manager, and you still need to be the technician. But you must be the trailblazer, you must be the architect, and mostly you must be the coach. And that's so essential. Traditional leadership. The old way was organized around functions. Employees do specialized tasks, supervisory management, as we said before, rule, govern, my way or the highway. Decisions referred to the organization and people viewed as tools of management. You were hired basically as a tool for their management. I've been called a tool many times, but not specifically for this reason. This is a tool of management. You're not really important. If you're gone, we'll fill your space. Isn't that a lousy place to be? When nobody appreciates what you can do for them because they don't really try to engage you, back to engagement again. It means, let me get what I can out of you. Because inside of you is a real tiger, and I gotta let it go. I gotta engage you. I gotta make you feel part of this. I gotta make you feel that you're really committed and determined to make success happen. Engagement. Most people don't engage other people. You must be engaged. Well, good job. High performance leadership enables group to become self-governing with facilitated guidance. It's organized around core processes, as we discussed before, the 5 core processes. Employees possess multiple skills. Shared leadership, so we sit down together and we jointly determine what's the right way of doing something, and then we evoke it, together as a team. Principle governed, decision made at the point of action, and people viewed as partners. It's not only about me, it's about all of us. We're in this together to make it happen. I'm going to skip this part of it. Let's talk about a high-performance team, the definition. Self-managing, multifunctional group of people organized around a whole process and empowered with full responsibility for their own success. So management has empowered this team to be successful. And that could be a team that's big in determining new products and research and development. So you get together a group that does sourcing, and they bring in other products that might be selling based on the economy. It might be a group who wants to analyze the commitments to the competition, analyze what the competition is doing so we know where to go. These are different groups that put together, and Wall Street had this for years. They have research groups that are in teams that basically gather a lot of research and deliver their information to the management. These true teams allow for success. Put a number underneath. 84% of managers don't know how accurately measure their team's productivity. Is that sad? So you work for an organization and your managers don't know if you're doing a good job or not? So quarterly statement comes out, your sales are up, you're doing great. Your sales are down, you're doing lousy. Is that what it's all about? Usually bad sales don't happen immediately. Good sales don't happen immediately. You see, there's a progressive act, sort of like nourishment. You know, you're watering your seeds, and then you see it happen. If you're not watering it, the plants will die. But they don't die the next day. They don't die the next quarter. They could die in 2 quarters. And how long does it take an organization who kills its plants or really dies as far as its productivity is concerned to regroup itself? Maybe never. Maybe never. So again, if 84% of the managers don't have a clue of where productivity is today, can you see where the problems are with companies? And can you also see where you fit in to help them? It's a way you deliver the message. The message here is you've got issues, I can fix them for you. I'm not a tool for your organization. I'm a specialist for your organization. That's a little different. Elements of high-performing teams: a shared mission, autonomy and the authority of task and performance, interdependence and shared leadership, broadly defined jobs and many responsibilities, meaningful participation in decision-making, and higher performance than individuals with not organized teams. Higher performance. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? High productivity, high performance, high efficiency, and high profitability. That's what it's all about. How to empower employees. Role description. The first thing that we need to do is define the responsibilities. How many of you have ever had a job and you sat down with your review and they said, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and you said, nobody ever asked me to. You ever run into that? You ever run into a job and you don't know what your job is? You've taken a job but you have no standard of performance or job responsibilities. You just know you go to work and do something. You ever run into that situation? Lots of people do. Because you need to have an understanding of what your job is. Then you can have, you know the difference in responsibility and accountability? Responsibility is a double acceptance. If I tell you I want you to do a certain job that you've never done before, you're not responsible for it, but you're accountable to it. Because you're still working for the company and you got to do a good job, but you're not responsible for it. Now think about the difference. Somebody says to me, do something, I say to them, I need training. I can't do it on my own. I've kicked back the responsibility. It says, I don't care, I don't have time for it, just go ahead and do it. And I fail at it. Whose fault is it? It's the manager's fault. I never accepted responsibility for it. I was accountable for it. Does it mean you won't get fired for it? No, it doesn't. It doesn't make a difference. But the bottom line you're looking at is that you need to be responsible. Responsibility is different than accountability. So, boundary conditions, what parameters for the people to fulfill their responsibility should be, and then expectations, they should be quantitative or qualitative, and non-negotiable. Some limits are non-negotiable. For instance, your job is from 9 to 6. That's not negotiable. The results and how you do it during 9 to 6 is negotiable. Time guidelines for any time constraints, the guide, the task, milestone events, project completion dates. And the knowledge and information. People must have the knowledge to access the information. This is what we were talking about before. If they are to take the additional responsibilities. You got to be trained on it. I've never done this before. How could you expect me to do it? Go ahead and do it. It's happened many times. You're given jobs to do that you have no clue how to do, especially in technology. Could you imagine that? Could you imagine being a firefighter and having that issue? You know, go put out that fire. What are you talking about? Skills. People need additional training and skills to be successful in their responsibilities. For example, they may need to learn how to read a budget or enter data into a computer. Supervisors, one of the biggest problems some supervisors have is they don't know how to read a budget. They don't know how to read an income statement or a balance sheet as a supervisor. So they're not aware of the financial constraints of an organization. And if you're running divisions for an organization, you need to be aware of that. But the upper management doesn't think it's important enough to train you, to teach you. It's important that you know financials in a supervisory role. But most of the time, you're sitting there with a clipboard with certain metrics and doing their job. Empowering groups, you must understand the process. How to empower employees? Resources. They can include tools and equipment, as well as reports, technical experts. Support is the emotional and psychological state of supporting somebody, coaching somebody. You're in a position, let me help you get through it. But the most important thing, and this is what we do with our children, is authority. We have boundaries and we have authority. So you have purchasing agents, and a purchasing agent says, I got the right to buy anything under $500. Right? That's an authority, and their boundary is anything under $500. So they can do that. Then there's another purchasing agent, maybe the lead purchasing agent says, mine is $5,000. Anything over that has to go to the CFO for approval. So that's the way it works there. So you have a boundary and have authority. So here are the 5 authority levels. You can work as authority. You'll work authority 1 when directed. I'm going to tell you what to do, and then you can do it. Level 2, after it's approved. Level 3, after consulting. Let's sit down and talk about it a little bit. Level 4, I want you to act on it and then give me a report on it. I want to sit down and see what happened. And then level 5, you're on your own, buddy. It's all yours. Make it happen. Dangerous. Very dangerous. Usually somebody tries to overtrust in an organization and says, you do it all yourself. You guys, I trust you, you can do it. No, hold back. Understand. There's a knowledge-based problem in a lot of things level 4 and level 5 have. And that if you relinquish that control, you could have difficulties. So you don't want to relinquish that control. I want you to come back and report to me, and we can learn about it. And then if you prove to me I can trust you, then I give you full autonomy. But don't give autonomy until you're positive of that, because that could hurt your organization. A high-performing organization that achieves outstanding results by making each person a contributing partner. People understand the business. They're committed to getting results. They're in together, and the goal is the same. You know, we spoke about strategies, and we spoke about goals, but the goal of the organization is the same. We're all bought in. And we all have different strategies to get there, and different tactics to achieve our strategies, and different resources and costs to achieve our tactics. People are organized into self-managing business units and teams take responsibility for decisions, problems, and continuous improvement. I'm going to skip this part. So, I know there's a lot of stuff. This is a lot of stuff. But when you're dealing with high-performance organizations, you empower high-performance teams, and you drive high-performance organizations through high-performance teams. All right? As far as you're going, how many of you are still looking for work? How many of you have jobs right now? And there are some who aren't looking and don't have jobs.
No, I'm
How many of you go to the beach tomorrow? I'm with you.
No, they teach us a PPN to say that we are in transition. No?
You're between opportunities?
Right.
Okay,
So,
that,
no,
that
I'm-
works good when you're picking up a chick, all right? But when you're looking for a job, my son is like that. My son basically, he has a business. His business never made $1. But if you tell him what he does, he'll tell you, here's my business name, right? Because it's impressive, right? But he can't spend it. So I'm telling him, be humble. Maybe somebody has an opportunity for you. That's what we're looking for. All right? So it's not, you're not to be ashamed of being looking for work or being between opportunities. This is the toughest economic time we've had in a long time. A lot of jobs have been removed, and a lot of jobs are not going to come back. We're going to have to be re-educated in different kinds of careers, even to get back on there. People who are in the car industry, it's changed from hands-on to robotics. People have to go back and be re-educated again. That's the biggest challenge we have. But there's nothing to be ashamed of. Separate yourself from the other competition by showing them how you can be more advantageous to the growth of their organization, not just looking for work or taking a job. You're looking, I'm the person who can make that company successful. That's why I do the broadcast mailing. Because the introduction is, I just want to sit down and show you or talk to you about how I can assist your company in making its goals in 2013 and years to come. And isn't that what they want? So you would request just an opportunity to meet. Now once you get in the door, your presentation skills should take over. The challenge has been getting enough appointments, am I right? Getting enough appointments. So break through the appointment barrier by getting to people who haven't listed the jobs yet. Those are where you're going to get the best work. That's where you're going to get the most money. And that's where you're going to not be competing with everybody out there with every degree in the world who can't tie their shoelaces. But they come with big paper. And it really confuses the market. I just want to give you one last thing before we go. If you need my assistance, I got business cards up here at all. If you need help going through interviewing process, if you need help understanding, you got a meeting tomorrow, you want a little assistance, a little coaching, call me, all right? I'm available. I do that a lot gratis. I do it specifically to help people. I was very fortunate in my life. I basically was a chief marketing officer for an energy company, started it when it was 15 million, left it when it was 240 million 3 years later. 11 employees to 175 employees 3 years later, building people and processes. I happened to get on with stock. So as I was telling Tim, when I retired, I spent 5 minutes in front of my pool saying I want to retire, and 5 minutes later saying, what am I talking about? I'm not retiring. Bored the hell out of me. Bored me to death. So I decided I was going to get up, and I was going to start a business. And I started this business 3 years ago. Success through enhanced performance. And not what a lot of people used to think, that I'm a Viagra salesman, but I'm not. What I do is increase people's performance levels when it comes to work, business, and home life. Because the truth is, business and home life is all the same. We have goals at home. We communicate at home. We have time management at home. We do all the things that we do at work, we do it at home. The skill sets are all the same. All right? The challenge is we are our own challenge. We put barriers in our own way. I'll help you clear those barriers if you like. All right, we'll get you employed. We basically do the best presentations possible, giving you the best opportunity to get the best job out there. If you want to use me, my wife does it all the time. I welcome the rest of you to do it. All right, thank you.